Hello, welcome. Our topic today is civil war in Africa. Civil war in Africa. Okay, let's look at the meaning of civil war. This is a war between citizens of the same country. Civil war is a war between citizens of the same country. Okay, now in the course of this lesson, we're going to see the list of Africa's civil war. All the wars Africans have seen: Liberia War, Rwanda, Sudan, Nigeria Civil War, Uganda, Mozambique, South Sudan. These are the various civil wars that have happened in Africa, and we can't forget them in a minute, especially the one that happened in Nigeria that saw the Biafra. Please, let's look at a footage of the civil war in So you saw how horrific that sight is, okay? That's the footage of the civil war, especially the one that happened in Liberia. Some children were brought into, were given ammunitions to go into war. You're going to look at the Liberia Civil War, okay? First, African continent has been frequently torn apart by civil war. So, but first, the Liberian Civil War was one of the bloodiest wars in African history. The war began in 1989, okay? This is Charles Taylor, okay? It started in 1989 and it lasted for 14 good years. The Liberia Civil War lasted for 14 years. The war began when a rebel group called the National Patriotic Front of Liberia, NPFL, it was led by Charles Taylor. So they started an uprising, okay? They had to overtake the then government of Liberia, headed by Samuel Doe, okay? The capital of Liberia is Monrovia. So Samuel Doe was the president of Liberia. So within weeks of that attack, okay, the MPFL had an army of over 10,000 people, and they control most of Liberia's countryside. So Samuel Doe was one of the worst leaders in the history as at that time. Okay, so he became the head of Liberia when he killed William Talbot, the former head of state. His rule was characterized by fraud, corruption, tribalism. Okay, he was accused of many human rights abuses in the year 1990. Then the ECOMOG, that is the Economic Community of West African States Monitoring Group, they were sent to Liberia to curb this particular fight that was going on. But however, they were unable to do it, okay? So, but the rebels captured and they executed Samuel Doe, who was the president of Liberia then in September 1990. So Liberia was thrown into war, and then the ECOMOG forces tried to subdue all the, then we had diamonds, okay, in Liberia then. So the war refused to end because some persons were gaining from the resources of Liberia, okay. Now the United Liberation Movement of Liberia for Democracy, ULIMO, by 1991, the ECOMOG tried to control Monrovia, which was the capital of Liberia, while the MPFL controlled the rest of the country. Okay, it was one of the bloodiest war in Africa, as I said. There were after many years, okay, the different factions, they continued to wage war against themselves. Many people lost their lives, families, and properties. Children as young as 8, they were forced to carry guns, okay, and fight during the war. So they had child soldiers during that period. People who refused to join the armies were killed. After many years of failed peace talks, elections were held in 1997. And then Charles Taylor won and became the head of state, okay. However, his government soon faced the same allegations of corruption that Samuel Doe was accused of. Okay, so rebel groups continued to fight despite the ceasefire agreements and all that. So people called for Charles Taylor to step down. and the fighting continued as he refused to do so. So finally in 2003, Taylor accepted an offer of political asylum in Nigeria. I think that was when Sani Abacha was the president of Nigeria, military president of Nigeria. So new elections were now conducted in Liberia, and a new president was sworn in Liberia. There's the image of Charles Taylor, okay, as the president. So later on, he was charged for war crimes. Taylor was charged for war crimes by the international community, okay? So that's the story of Liberia. So the Civil War of Liberia lasted for 14 good years. It was a very bloody war, okay? It was between two factions. Like I told you, the faction for Charles Taylor and that of Samuel Doe. This Sirleaf Johnson, the first female president of Liberia in Africa too. So she charged Charles Taylor for war crimes. So the next civil war in Africa is that of Rwanda, the Rwanda Genocide. Okay, we're going to see all what transpired before this war started. Okay, we'll see the meaning of genocide. So Rwanda, its capital is Kigali, but Liberia is Rwanda, its capital was Monrovia, as I told you earlier. So the deliberate killing of people in Rwanda during the war, as we have seen, Rwanda is just a small country. It has a large population of the Hutu being in the military, okay? But what exactly was the Rwandan genocide? It was a conflict where a lot of people died because of the civil war between the Hutus and the Tutsis. When was the genocide? When did it start? Okay, it started on April 6, 1994. Okay, it started April 6th. The war lasted for 100 days. The Rwandan war between the Hutu and the Tutsi lasted for 100 days. So the two ethnic groups were the Hutu, okay, and the Tutsi. The military was more of the Hutu ethnic group than the Tutsi. So when the war started, the Hutu military killed a whole number of the Tutsi people. But the two secondary factors that fought during this, that encouraged this war, were France and Belgium. These two countries, they encouraged the war between the Hutu and the Tutsi ethnic groups in Rwanda. And then, okay, what was the start of the conflict? What caused it? It started when a plane carrying the Rwandan president, okay, a member of the Hutu majority, was shot down. So in a few hours, Hutu extremists took power and wave of assassinations broke out, and they finished the Tutsi minority, okay? But at the end of the day, the Tutsi, they were able to win the war. They were able to win the war because Paul Kagame was able to conquer the Hutu government and took over power. Okay, but of course we know that not all is bad. The International Criminal Tribunal for Rwanda was created to charge all that were involved in the Rwandan genocide. So after the genocide, the number of people with HIV and AIDS expanded around the world, and then the UN started helping other countries. So if the genocide had not happened, okay, we would not have awareness about the scope of these types of massacre in the country. So let's look at the war scenes and their effects. Okay, children were dying. We had lots of people that were displaced. They became refugees in their own countries. Child soldiers, people were given guns to kill. Children were malnourished, no food. They were exposed to all manner of crime, malnutrition upon the children. There were lots of, even men were so destabilized, and a lot of things were happening. So you can see it that war, it's not anything good near anyone. Okay, you see all the scenes. These were the scenes from Liberia war, the Rwandan war. People were being killed, lives were wasted. Almost 1.2 million Rwandans died during the Rwandan war. You could see these are images of dead bodies. Okay, so this is Paul Kagame. Paul Kagame was the leader of the Tutsi group in Rwandan war. So at the end of the day, he was able to forestall peace in Rwanda, and with under international bodies and governments of some different countries, they were able to restore peace in Rwanda. Okay, so that's the peace for the two countries we have discussed so far.